Imagine if in your D&D game you could build something that really lasted.
Yeah.
Not just, finding some magic items or grabbing some loot or whatever, but like establishing a stronghold, a place that really reflected your character's journey.
Right.
That's a promise of the Bastion system in the 2025 D&D update.
Mm,
And it sounds really cool, but how well does it actually play out?
right.
That's what we're going to be diving into today. Are Bastions a game changer or are they a potential headache?
I actually recently got to test out Bastions in a campaign.
Okay.
And I'll say it absolutely transformed my character's arc.
Wow.
My druid had been working to unite all these various tribes against a common enemy.
Oh.
And as she gained influence, we were able to establish her bastion in a hidden grove. And we built it up to become this kind of like neutral meeting ground. It was a safe haven for people.
Okay.
And it really became central to the story.
Interesting.
Yeah, it gave us this tangible goal beyond just dungeon delving.
Okay. So you weren't just going from dungeon to dungeon. You had this place to come back to.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like our home base, but it was so much more than that.
Okay.
It had like this real weight to it, you know?
That's so cool. I mean, it sounds like it adds a whole new layer to the game.
Yeah.
We actually have this great article from LitRPG Reads called How to Fix Bastions in D&D 5e.
Mm-hmm.
And it really digs into both the possibilities and the potential pitfalls.
Right.
And one of the things that the author, Paul Bellow, points out is that there's a risk of Bastions becoming too much of a focus,
Yeah.
like overshadowing the core adventure.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that from your experience?
Yeah, it's definitely something that DMs need to be mindful of.
Okay.
You know, if every session gets bogged down in resource management or building upgrades, you can definitely lose momentum.
It can get boring.
Exactly. But if you tie the Bastion's development into the campaign's narrative, it becomes a natural part of the story. Like, for example, instead of just paying gold for a new guard tower, our group had to complete a quest to retrieve these ancient blueprints from a ruined temple.
Interesting.
So that way the Bastion's growth, it felt like an earned reward, not just a shopping list.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
It makes the Bastion feel so much more integrated into the world, not just this kind of like separate mini game.
Right.
The article also mentions the potential for economic imbalances, like Bastions generating so much wealth that it throws off the game's balance.
Yeah.
Did you encounter any issues with that?
We actually did run into some early issues with that.
Okay.
The original rules made it really easy to turn your Bastion into a money-making machine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then it made some of the challenges, feel less meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
So our DM tweaked the rules. He tied income generation to in-game events or alliances.
Okay.
So for instance, we secured a trade route with a nearby city, but only after navigating some tricky political negotiations. So that made the gold feel earned, and it also led to some really exciting role-playing encounters.
That's such a clever solution.
Yeah.
And it really highlights the need for DMs to be flexible and adapt the system to their specific campaign.
Right.
It's not one size fits all.
Definitely not.
What works for one group might be a disaster for another.
Absolutely.
The article spends a good chunk of time going over various Bastion upgrades, like from teleportation nexus to siege armory.
Right.
Did any particular upgrade stand out to you as especially impactful or game-changing?
For my druid, the Grove Sanctuary was like a defining upgrade.
Yeah.
It allowed us to create a healing aura throughout the entire bastion, which
Right.
became essential for treating wounded allies and refugees.
Wow.
But it was more than just the mechanical benefit,
Right.
It really played into my character's role as a protector and a healer.
I can see how that would resonate.
Yeah.
Not just with your character's abilities, but also with the overall theme of uniting the tribes.
Mhm.
It becomes more than just a stat boost. It's a story element.
Yeah.
Did you encounter any upgrades that felt overpowered or broke the game?
Early on, we considered building the teleportation nexus.
Okay.
But we quickly realized it might make travel a little too easy.
Yeah.
So instead, we opted for this network of magical beacons that allowed for faster travel within a specific region.
Okay.
It gave us like a strategic advantage without completely trivializing exploration and travel.
That's a smart approach.
Yeah.
It's all about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
You don't want Bastions to become this shortcut that bypasses the core elements of D&D.
Right.
It's about enhancing the experience, not replacing it.
Right.
And the article does a great job of outlining that.
Yeah.
Not just the mechanics, but also the importance of integrating Bastions into the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find that your Bastion organically became a source of conflict or adventure?
Oh, it absolutely did.
Okay.
Word got out about our Hidden Grove sanctuary. And it wasn't long before we had to defend it against this group of poachers who were trying to exploit the resources we were protecting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and later we discovered this ancient ruin beneath the Bastion, which led us on a whole side quest to uncover its secrets.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It sounds like the Bastion wasn't just a static location, but like a dynamic element that shaped the campaign in unexpected ways.
Absolutely.
The article even touches on using bastions as quest hubs,
Right.
like having mysterious patrons or long-lost heirs appearing. Did anything like that happen in your game?
That's exactly what happened.
Get out.
This long-lost heir to one of the tribes showed up claiming ownership of the grove.
Wow.
Yeah, and it forced us to delve into local history and politics, negotiate treaties, and we even uncovered some long-forgotten betrayals.
Wow, that's some next-level narrative integration.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It really highlights the potential for bastions to become more than just a place to store your loot. They be the heart of the story. So did any of these challenges or conflicts reshape the Bastion itself?
Yeah.
Or did it remain relatively unchanged throughout the campaign?
Both, actually.
Okay.
So we had to bolster our defenses after the poacher attack.
Correct.
You know, we added watchtowers and trained local villagers to help us defend.
Smart.
And after the whole air debacle, we redesigned the central meeting area
Okay.
to be more inclusive, reflecting the newfound unity between the tribes.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, the Bastion wasn't just a reflection of my character's progress, it was also shaped by the events of the campaign.
That's an awesome example
Yeah.
of how the Bastion can evolve alongside the story. It's a tangible representation of the group's accomplishments and challenges.
Right.
It sounds like you had a really positive experience with the Bastion system overall.
I definitely did.
Uh-huh.
It added a whole new dimension to the game, you know, gave us this sense of ownership and purpose beyond just completing quests. But it definitely requires some thoughtful planning and adaptation from the DM to really get the most out of it.
Yeah. I think that's key.
Yeah.
Like any new system, it's not about blindly following the rules. It's about understanding the possibilities and adapting them to your specific group and campaign.
Exactly. It's a tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool, it's all about how you use it.
The article really emphasizes that aspect, you know,
Right.
that bastions are this fantastic storytelling tool.
Yeah.
Instead of just like describing a generic stronghold,
Yeah.
you can really bring it to life with details that reflect its history, its inhabitants, the challenges that it's faced.
Right. It's like world building, but on a smaller scale.
Like world building on a smaller scale.
Exactly.
You're not just creating a map.
Mhm.
You're crafting a place with its own unique identity and story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the article gives some really great examples.
Right.
Like, imagine a bastion built on the ruins of an ancient battlefield.
Okay.
The walls might be scarred with like scorch marks from spells.
Yeah.
The courtyard could have a monument dedicated to fallen heroes. And maybe there are even rumors of restless spirits haunting the grounds.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it instantly makes it feel more real, you know?
I love those details.
Yeah.
It makes it so much more
Lived in.
lived in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just a bunch of stats on a character sheet.
Right.
It's a place with a past.
And that past can directly impact the present, right?
Absolutely.
Maybe the Bastion's location holds strategic significance or its history attracts unwanted attention
Right.
from rival factions or treasure hunters.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not just a static backdrop, you know?
Right.
It's an active participant in the story.
The article suggests, thinking about the Bastion's legacy,
Mm-hmm.
did your character inherit it from their ancestors? Did they build it from scratch? Was it once a place of great power that has fallen into ruin?
Right. Those are great questions to consider because the answers can shape everything.
Right.
From the Bastion's architecture to the challenges that the players face.
For example, a bastion that's been passed down through generations might have hidden chambers or ancient secrets waiting to be discovered.
Right, exactly. And maybe those secrets hold clues to a long-forgotten threat that's now reemerging, or maybe they provide insights into your character's lineage and destiny.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So the Bastion becomes a gateway to new adventures
Yeah.
and deeper character development.
Exactly. And it doesn't even have to stop there.
Okay.
The article even suggests weaving in elements of prophecy or mystery.
Oh, interesting.
Like maybe the Bastion is said to be connected to a powerful artifact or a legendary figure, or maybe there are rumors of a hidden portal that leads to another plane of existence. existence.
Those are great hooks for adventures.
Right.
So the Bastion becomes more than just a place. It becomes a mystery to be unraveled, a legend to be explored.
Absolutely. And it encourages DMs to get creative with the Bastion's environment. Like maybe
Yes.
it's built on a cliffside overlooking a raging sea, or deep within a dense jungle filled with exotic creatures.
That's what I love about D&D.
Yeah,
The possibilities are endless.
they are.
You can tailor the Bastion to fit any campaign setting and style.
Exactly.
So a Bastion in a Gothic horror campaign might be a crumbling Gothic castle
Right.
with hidden dungeons and a sinister history.
Yeah.
While in a swashbuckling pirate campaign, it could be a fortified island hideout
Right.
with secret coves and a bustling black market.
Exactly.
The possibilities are only limited by our imaginations.
Yeah.
The article even dives into the nitty-gritty of designing and building the Bastion. From choosing the right location
Right.
to selecting materials and magical enhancements.
Yeah. And it's those details that really bring it to life,
Right.
Imagine walls made of shimmering obsidian,
Oh, wow.
or towers adorned with enchanted gargoyles that come to life to defend the Bastion.
Or maybe the Bastion's gardens are filled with rare and magical plants that can be used for potions and rituals.
Yeah.
You could even have hidden workshops and laboratories
Right.
where characters can craft unique items and experiment with new spells.
Exactly.
So cool.
And the article provides so many great ideas for making the Bastion feel unique and personalized.
Okay.
And it really emphasizes that these features shouldn't just be cosmetic.
Right.
They should actually tie into the gameplay and the narrative.
I'm curious, in your game, did you and your fellow players actively participate in designing and building the Bastion?
We did.
Okay.
Or was it mostly driven by the DM? It was definitely a collaborative effort.
Okay.
So our DM presented us with the basic framework and some initial options.
Okay.
But then we were encouraged to contribute ideas and make choices that reflected our characters' personalities and goals.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So it was really like a group effort
it was.
to bring this Bastion to life.
Absolutely.
Did you have any conflicts or disagreements along the way?
Oh, we definitely had some disagreements.
Okay.
Different players had different visions for what the Bastion should be.
Right.
But ultimately, we were able to compromise and come up with something that everyone was happy with.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it was a good process.
It sounds like the Bastion became more than just a building project.
It did.
It became a team-building exercise.
It did.
The article mentions the importance of this collaboration, emphasizing that Bastions should be tailored to the group's play style and preferences.
Yeah.
Some groups might love the intricate details of managing resources and building upgrades,
Yeah.
while others might prefer a more streamlined approach.
Absolutely. There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It's all about finding what works for your group and your campaign.
The article even suggests the idea of shared bastions,
Oh, yeah.
where multiple players contribute to its development and benefit from its resources.
Right.
That's a cool idea.
It is.
It could be a great way to encourage teamwork and cooperation,
Yeah.
especially if the players have characters with complementary skills and backgrounds.
Yeah.
So you could have a fighter providing security, a wizard enchanting the defenses, and a cleric tending to the sick and wounded.
Yeah. It creates a real sense of community.
Right.
And shared purpose.
Yeah.
Which can really enhance the role-playing aspect of the game.
It also opens up possibilities for interesting conflicts and dilemmas, right?
Yeah,
What happens if the players disagree on how to manage the Bastion's resources or prioritize upgrades?
Right, exactly. That could lead to some really tense moments.
Yeah.
And force the players to make some tough choices.
Do they prioritize defense over expansion? Do they focus on economic growth or social welfare?
Exactly.
Those are big questions.
They are.
The Bastion becomes this kind of microcosm of society.
It does.
With all of its complexities and challenges.
Yeah, and it provides a platform for exploring themes of leadership,
Right.
responsibility,
Yeah.
the balance of power.
It's amazing how a single game mechanic
Yeah,
can lead to so many layers
Yeah.
of storytelling and character development.
it's true.
The article touches on this.
Suggesting that bastions can even be used to explore larger themes of legacy, responsibility, the impact of our actions on the world around us.
It's not just a place,
Right.
it's a symbol. It represents your character's influence,
Yeah.
their values,
Yeah.
their impact on the world.
Right.
And it can force them to confront some difficult questions.
It can.
What happens to the people who rely on the Bastion for protection if it falls?
Right.
What kind of legacy will your character leave behind?
Exactly.
Those are heavy questions.
They are, but they're also incredibly compelling and thought-provoking.
They highlight the potential for Bastions to elevate D&D beyond just a game of dice rolls and dungeon crawls.
Absolutely.
It becomes a story about building something meaningful, defending what you believe in, and leaving a lasting mark on the world.
Exactly. And that's what makes D&D so special.
Yeah.
It's a game where you can truly create something unique and lasting, both in the game world and in your own imagination.
Absolutely. The article really emphasizes the importance of adapting the rules to fit your specific campaign style.
Right.
A Bastion in a gritty, low-magic setting might look and function very differently from one in a high fantasy world brimming with magic.
For sure.
So in a low-magic setting, you might focus more on practical defenses, resource management, building alliances with neighboring communities.
Right.
Whereas in a high fantasy setting, you might incorporate more fantastical elements, like magical wards, enchanted defenses, even portals to other dimensions.
Exactly.
The key is to make sure that the Bastion feels like an organic part of the world, not just something that's been tacked on.
Right.
It should be a natural extension of the campaign's themes, challenges, and overall tone.
Absolutely.
Speaking of tone, did you find that the Bastion shifted the tone of your campaign at all?
It definitely added a new layer of seriousness and responsibility.
Okay.
We were no longer just adventurers passing through. We were protectors, builders, leaders. And that came with a whole new set of challenges and considerations.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're not just fighting for your own survival anymore. You're fighting for the safety and well-being of others.
Right.
So it raises the stakes and adds emotional depth to the story.
Absolutely. And it forced us to think more long-term.
Okay.
We couldn't just focus on the immediate threat. We had to consider the long-term consequences of our actions and how they would impact the Bastion and its inhabitants.
It sounds like the Bastion became a catalyst for character growth.
Yeah.
Forcing you to step outside your comfort zones and embrace new roles and responsibilities.
It really did, and it led to some of the most memorable and rewarding moments of the campaign.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It sounds like you had a truly transformative experience with the Bastion system.
I did.
And it really highlights the potential for this mechanic to add depth, meaning, and excitement to any D&D campaign.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's a game changer,
Right.
and I can't wait to see how other DMs and players use it to create their own unique stories and legacies.
Me too. It's exciting to see how a single rule change can spark so much creativity and innovation within the D&D community.
Yeah, absolutely.
The article also stresses the importance of open communication between the DM and the players when it comes to Bastions.
Yeah.
What kind of conversations were you having at your table to make sure everyone was on the same page?
So before we even started building the Bastion, our DM sat us down and he was like, okay, what are your expectations for this?
Okay.
Do we want to focus on combat intrigue, economic development role-playing?
So he was really trying to get a sense of what the players wanted out of this.
Exactly. Yeah. He wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page
Okay.
and that we were working towards a shared vision.
That's a crucial step.
It is.
Because Bastions touch on so many aspects of the game
They do.
that it's easy to get sidetracked if everyone has different priorities.
Absolutely. And we also had regular check-ins during the campaign
Okay.
to discuss how the Bastion was impacting the game,
So it wasn't just like a one-time conversation.
No, it was an ongoing process.
You were constantly checking in, making sure everything was working.
Exactly. Yeah. We would talk about, is this feeling too grindy?
Okay.
Is it overshadowing other aspects of the story? Are there any rules we want to tweak or house rule?
That kind of open dialogue is so important
It is.
for any homebrew or optional rule system.
Absolutely, because what worked for the playtest group or the article's author might not work at your table.
Right. Every group is different.
Exactly.
Every campaign is different.
Yeah, and the article even suggests the idea of starting small
Okay.
and gradually adding complexity as the group gets more comfortable with the system.
I like that approach.
Yeah.
It lets players kind of dip their toes in the water.
Yeah.
And see what aspects they enjoy most.
Right.
Before getting bogged down in too many rules.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to steal ideas from other games or genres.
That's a good point.
We incorporated some elements from city building games and even a bit of King of the Hill strategy when it came to defending the Bastion.
That's a great reminder that D&D is a melting pot of ideas and influences.
It is.
You can draw inspiration from anywhere to make your Bastion feel unique and engaging.
Exactly. Ultimately, it's all about having fun
Right.
and creating a memorable experience.
If something isn't working, don't be afraid to change it.
Exactly.
This has been such an insightful deep dive into Bastion.
Yes.
It's clear that they have the potential to be a truly transformative addition to D&D, adding layers of depth, strategy, and storytelling that can really enrich any campaign.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Huge thanks to LitRPG Reads and Paul Bello for their fantastic article, How to Fix Bastions in D&D 5e.
It's a great article.
If you're looking to add Bastions to your game, definitely check it out.
Yeah.
And be sure to let us know in the comments what you think.
We'd love to hear from you.
Have you tried using Bastions in your games?
Yeah.
What worked well?
What challenges did you face?
We'd love to hear your experiences and insights.
Absolutely. Until next time, happy gaming, everyone. It's amazing how much one rule can change how the game feels, you know?
Yeah, it's really cool. And speaking of how the game feels and the rules changing, one of the things that the article also talks about is that sometimes the rules as written just don't quite work.
Right.
You know, they need a little bit of tweaking.
Yeah.
And so the article actually dives into a bunch of different ways that you can fix the Bastion rules to make them work better for your group. And one of the things that they suggest is actually changing how experience points are awarded for building up your Bastion.
Yeah, that's a really good point because in the original rules, you don't actually get any experience points for, you know, constructing buildings or training troops or any of that stuff.
It's all just like a gold sink.
Exactly. Yeah, you're just spending money and not really getting anything in return. Which can feel kind of unsatisfying.
Especially for players who are really invested in that aspect of the game.
Absolutely. So the article suggests awarding experience points for completing certain milestones in your Bastion's development.
So, like, what kind of milestones are we talking about?
Like, for example, you could get experience points for constructing your first building. Or for reaching a certain population limit. Or for successfully defending your Bastion against an attack.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a way to reward players for their efforts. And to make the Bastion feel like a more integral part of the character's progression.
I love that idea.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Another fix that the article suggests is streamlining the downtime activities.
Yeah.
Because the rules for downtime can be a little bit overwhelming.
They're very complicated.
Especially for new players.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that we can make downtime a little bit easier to manage?
Well, one suggestion is to use a simplified system of actions. So instead of having a huge list of different things that you can do during downtime, you could just have a few basic actions, like build train research or explore, and then each action could have a set number of days or weeks that it takes to complete.
So it's like you're abstracting away some of the complexity.
Exactly. Yeah, you're making it more manageable for both the players and the DM.
Another fix that the article suggests is tying Bastion upgrades to in-game events.
Yeah.
Rather than just gold expenditure. So instead of just saying, oh, I have enough gold, I'm going to build a new guard tower. You have to actually do something in the game world to earn that upgrade.
Exactly. Like maybe you have to complete a quest. Or forge an alliance with a powerful faction. Or uncover a lost artifact.
That makes the Bastion feel like less of a shopping list.
It does.
And more like an organic part of the story.
Absolutely. Yeah, it ties the Bastion's development directly to the character's actions, which makes it feel more meaningful and rewarding.
One of the things that I really liked about the article is that it acknowledges that Bastions aren't for everyone. You know, not every campaign needs a Bastion. Not every group is going to be interested in that level of complexity. So the article actually provides some alternative rules for groups that want a more streamlined approach. Like, for example, you could use a simplified version of the Bastion system. Where you just have a few basic upgrades that don't require a lot of management. Or you could just use the Bastion as a narrative element rather than a mechanical one.
But maybe the Bastion is just a place where the characters can hang out between adventures. But it doesn't have any real impact on the gameplay.
I think that's a really important point to emphasize, you know? That Bastions should be a tool that enhances the game. Not a burden that weighs it down.
Exactly.
So if you're thinking about adding Bastions to your campaign, talk to your players. See what they're interested in. And don't be afraid to experiment. And find what works best for your group. Well, this has been an awesome deep dive into Bastions and D&D.
It has.
Huge thanks again to LitRPG Reads and Paul Bello for their amazing article.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
If you're interested in learning more about Bastions, I highly recommend checking it out.
Definitely.
And as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried using Bastions in your games?
What worked for you?
What challenges did you face?
Let us know in the comments.
We love hearing from you guys.
We do.
And until next time, happy gaming.